Good morning. Today I have discussed the next part of the AC bridge. In the AC bridge part 1, I have already discussed that how the AC bridge is useful for the measurement of self-inductance and capacitance. So using AC bridge we have started in the last class the measurement of self-inductance. In the last part, that means AC part 1, I have discussed the two methods, that the Maxwell's inductance bridge and Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge. So they have some disadvantage, so we have modified the Maxwell's inductance bridge. So next bridge is Hay bridge. This is the modification of Maxwell's bridge. It is also useful for the measurement of self-inductance. The circuit diagram of the bridge is given. The suppose L1 is unknown inductance having an internal resistance R1, and there is a R2 and R3 are known inductive resistance, and C4 and R4 are variable capacitor and resistance. So in this method we have seen that the capacitor and inductor are in series, because in Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge the capacitor connected in parallel. So we have to calculate the impedance of each of the arms. First, Z1 is equal to R1 plus J omega L1, Z2 is equal to R2, and Z3 is equal to R3, Z4 is equal to R1 minus J omega C4. At balance condition, as you know, Z1 into Z4 and Z2 into Z2. So by putting the value of Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4, you are getting the equation, and by equating the imaginary part and real part. So imaginary part, the real part of the left hand side is R1 plus R2 plus L1 by C4 is equal to R2 into R3. So by solving, R1 is equal to R2 R3 C4 minus L1 by R2 into C4, and there is no imaginary part in the right hand side. So by equating left hand side imaginary part equal to 0, then L1 is equal to R1 by omega square by C4 into R4. Now we discuss the phasor diagram of Hay bridge. So Hay bridge, suppose in Hay bridge, suppose I1 and I3, I1 and I2 are in same phase. So suppose this is the phasor diagram of suppose this is I1 line. So I1 into R1 plus J into omega L1, because this is the J operator. If you multiply J operator, then it's is lead by the 90 degree. So total voltage E1 is equal to I1 R1 plus J omega L1 R1, that is E1. So for the balance condition, voltage of E1 is equal to E2, because at balance condition there is no current flow through the detector. So E1 are in the same phase. As you know, the E1 is equal to I2 into R2. So R2 are also in the same phase of E2. So this is the current of I2. Now the I2 current is passed through the branch 4. Branch 4 have two part. Branch 4 I4 and C4 and R4. So suppose this is the I2 into R2, because I2 in this line, so I2 into R2, and voltage drop across capacitor is lag by 90 degree. That's why the I2 by omega C4, and sum of I2 into R4 plus I2 by omega C4 is equal to E4. So E4, and at balance condition E4 and E3 are same. So E4 and E3 are same, and E3 is equal to I1 into R3. In this way we have draw the phasor diagram of Hay bridge, and you can measure the inductance and value of unknown resistance of unknown capacitor. So using this formula you can measure the value of R1 and L1. So by solving I1, because R1 have terms of L1 and L1 have terms R1, so by solving those two equations you can get the R1 is equal to omega square R2 R3 R4 into C4 by 1 plus omega square C4 square into R4 square, and L2 is equal to R2 R3 C4 by 1 plus omega square plus C4 into R4. The quality factor of the coil is equal to omega L1 by R1, that means 1 by omega C4 into R4. So in the L1 expression, if you express the L1 in terms of quality factor, then L1 becomes R2 R3 into C4 divided by 1 plus 1 by Q ka whole square. As you know, if the value of Q is greater than 10, then 1 by Q square is less than 0.001. So the denominator part becomes almost equal to 1, and L1 is for the inductor having quality factor Q greater than 10, then L1 becomes only R2 into R3 into C4. So as in the last part, that means AC part 1, we have discussed the Maxwell's inductance bridge is not useful for the measurement of high quality factor inductance. So using the Hay bridge you can measure the high quality factor inductance, but it not be useful for the low quality factor inductance. From that means if the inductor having the quality factor from 0 to 10, then this part 1 by Q square have some significant value, so you cannot ignore. So for the measurement of inductor having quality factor from 0 to 10, Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge is more useful, and for measurement of inductance having the quality factor greater than 10, and then in this case Hay bridge is more useful. So in this way bridge, the advantage of the Hay bridge, the bridge gives a very simple expression for unknown inductors having a high quality factor, that means suitable for the measurement of inductor having coil in quality factor greater than 10, and even the quality factor is equal to 1 by omega 4 into C4. So bridge required a very low value of R4 for the measurement of quality factor. Disadvantage, so same that I have discussed, that it is not useful for the measurement of low quality factor coil, because in terms of when the quality factor from 0 to 10, 1 by Q square terms have some significant value, and that in this case the expression for the inductance have a very clumsy equations, so you cannot ignore. So it is not useful for the measurement of low quality factor. Next one, the Anderson bridge. Fourth one is the Anderson bridge. So Anderson bridge is a modification of inductance. Again, it is modification of Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge. In this method, self-inductance is measured in terms of a standard capacitor. This method is applicable for the precise measurement of self-inductance over a very wide range of frequency. The circuit diagram of Anderson bridge, suppose this is the inductor that you have to measure using the bridge, Anderson bridge. So inductor having a unknown inductance L1 and unknown resistance R1, and suppose there is one variable resistor connected in series with the L1. And second, in the arm 2, there is only non-inductive standard resistance R2, and R4 there is a modification. That means the galvanometer is connected through capacitor and a variable resistance. So in this way the bridge is modified. How we solve this equation? So those are the standard value that you have to use in the circuit. So at the balance condition, when there is no current through the galvanometer, that means I1 current is equal to I3 current, because if I1 current is equal to I3 current. And again I2 current, that means the branch 2 current have divided into two parts, I4 into IC, and IC current is passed through resistance and then capacitor, not passed through galvanometer, because at balance condition galvanometer have zero current. So by putting the equation, and again the voltage drop across branch 3, that means I1 into R3 is equal to voltage drop across capacitor. So at balance condition there is zero voltage difference across galvanometer, so voltage drop across capacitor is equal to voltage drop across R3 branch. So I1 into R3 is equal to IC into 1 by j omega c, that is impedance of the branch. That means IC is equal to I1 into j omega c into R3. Again writing the other balance equation, that means voltage drop across branch 1 must be equal to voltage drop across branch 2 plus voltage drop across variable resistance R. So voltage drop across R1 branch 1, that means I1 into R1 plus small r1 plus j omega L1 is equal to I2 into R2 plus IC into small r. So from the equation, if you put the value of IC in the equation, in the given equation, then by solving this equation, so you get the one equation in terms of I1 is equal to R1 plus small r1 plus capital R1 plus j omega c L1 minus j omega c R3 into R is equal to I2 into R3. That means you have replaced IC current by I1 into j omega c into R3. Again for the balance circuit, the voltage drop across small r1 plus voltage drop across capacitor must be equal to the voltage drop across R4 branch. So IC is equal to R plus 1 by j omega C is equal to I2 minus IC into R4. By solving, again we have to put the value of IC is equal to I1 into j omega C R4. By putting, we are getting the I1, the second equation. By solving the equation 1 and equation 2, so we get the value of R1, that means the unknown resistance of inductor L1. R1 is equal to R2 into R3 by R4 minus R1, and L1 is equal to C into R3 by R4 into R by R2 into R3 plus R2 into R4. So this is the final expression of the unknown inductance and unknown capacitors. So the advantage of Anderson bridge is that, so if you vary the R1, then you getting the balance equation for the unknown resistance R1. If you varying the small resistance R, then you getting the balance equation for the inductance. That means the expression balancing condition of R1 and L1 are independent, and they are operated by the small r1 and small r independently. So this is the advantage of Anderson bridge over the another bridge. So advantage in case of adjustment is carried out by manipulating control over R1 and R. They becomes independent to each other. This is marked superiority over sliding balance condition met with the low quality factor coil. And there is a fixed, we have used a fixed capacitor can be used instead of variable capacitor. As you discussed, the variable capacitor are costly as compared with the fixed capacitor. So this is the advantage. And disadvantage, the Anderson bridge is more complex as its prototype bridge is balance equation not simple, in fact much more tedious. An additional junction increased the difficulty in shielding the bridge. So Anderson bridge have some advantage. Each and every bridge have some advantage and disadvantage and its application according to the quality factor of the bridge. Next, last one for the measurement of self-inductance of the in a coil, Ohm bridge is used. So Ohm bridge may be used for the measurement of inductance in terms of capacitor. So suppose this is the circuit diagram of Ohm bridge. Ohm bridge, suppose L1 the unknown inductance and R1 is the unknown resistance of inductor L1, and in the branch 2 there is a variable resistance R2 and variable resistance C2, and branch 4 there is a fixed capacitor, and in branch 3 there is a fixed standard resistance. So by balance condition, so first you have to calculate the impedance across each branch. That means Z1 is equal to R1 plus j omega L1, Z2 is equal to R2 plus 1 by j omega C2, and Z3 is equal to R3, and Z4 is equal to 1 by j omega C4. Now first we have discussed the phasor diagram. So suppose this is the I1 line. This is the I1 line. So first we have to draw the phasor diagram for the voltage drop E1. So suppose this is the I1 into R1, because I1 into R1 is in the same phase with the I1, and I1 into j omega L1 is lead by the 90 degree. So summation of I1 into R1 plus I1 into omega L1 gives the equation for the E1. And at the balance condition, E1 must be equal to E2. So at balance condition, E1 must be equal to E2. To E1, and again at balance condition, I1 is equal to I3. So voltage drop across E3, voltage drop branch R3 is equal to E3 is equal to I1 into R3 that equal to must be at balance condition E3 is equal to E4. So E4 is equal to IC by I2 by j omega C4. So if the E4 in this line in the line of I1 in phase with I1, then I2 must be lead by the 90 degree. So I2 must be lead by the 90 degree. And if you draw the phasor diagram for the E2, then suppose the voltage drop is equal to I2 into R2 plus E2 by j omega C2. The summation must be equal to E2. So now the E1 plus E3 equal to total applied voltage. In this way we have drawn the phasor diagram of Ohm bridge. Again, now discuss the at balance condition Z1 into Z4 is equal to Z2 into Z3 by putting the value of Z1, Z2, Z3, Z4. Then equation becomes like that, equating real and imaginary part. In R1 is equal to C4 by R2 into R3, and L1 is equal to R2 R3 into C4. As a quality factor is equal to omega C2 into R4. The advantage of Ohm bridge, there is a two independent equation for the C2 and in terms of C2 and R2. That means the unknown resistance R1 can you get by varying the capacitor C2, and unknown inductance C1 by varying the variable resistance R2. That means for the balancing condition of the R1 and L1 are independent to each other, and they are operated by the varying the C2 and R2 independently. So this is the advantage of own bridge, and this bridge can be used over a wide range of measurement, frequent measurement of the inductance. So finally, for the measurement of self-inductance, we have discussed the 5 type of branches: Maxwell's inductance bridge, Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge, and third one is the Hay bridge, fourth one is the Anderson bridge, and fifth one is own bridge. So each and every bridge have some advantage and some disadvantage. Maxwell's inductance and capacitance bridge demerit is overcome by the Hay bridge, Anderson bridge, and own bridge. Anderson bridge is useful for the measurement of high quality factor. Hay bridge is useful. Hay bridge is useful for the measurement of high quality factor inductance, and Anderson bridge is useful for the measurement of low quality factor in low inductance. Maxwell's inductance capacitance bridge is useful for the measurement of quality factor having value less than 10. So those are the advantage and disadvantage of different type of bridge, and own bridge have used for the wide range of measurement of inductance, So thank you. In the next class I will discuss how AC bridge is used for the measurement of capacitance, measurement of mutual inductance, and measurement of frequency.